Hello, Chris Mortensen here again for another episode of Imagination Nation. I hope you're ready, because today's going to be a great episode. I am so excited. Thank you, everybody. My episode 5, my favorite episode that I ever made, the suspense episode, had over 230 views last week. All the other ones? What the heck, people? Get those views up! So today's show will be about, we're going to do some ghosts and some demons and some zombies. It'll be perfect, Carnival of Souls. In 1961, you didn't call them zombies. After a tragic accident that left her the only survivor, she moves on and starts to witness a strange zombie-like man who keeps tormenting her. The hauntings lead her to an abandoned carnival where the greatest climax awaits. The climax and the ghostly-like guy are the best part of this movie. Night of the Living Dead, released in 1968. It was a story about a group of people trapped in a farmhouse being attacked by zombies. But everybody knows that. The director George Romero took the zombie and turned it into a grim macabre. It was the start and change of pop culture forever. I have mixed feelings on this movie, but I appreciate its artistic value to the genre. Dawn of the Dead was the sequel to George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. This is a very popular movie, very cult classic. Takes place in a mall. Everybody knows this story, and it's a very good story. Took me a while to warm up to it, but it is a good story once you get into it. The third of George Romero's Dead series is the goriest one. Has a great zombie in it named Bob. Group of scientists and army men living in an underground base trying to find a cure for zombies. And the enemy are the man itself. Good movie. Land of the Dead is the fourth of the George Romero series. The thing I like about this movie is it's based on survival. The rich keep getting richer and they're safe, and the poor society have to survive and fight off the zombies. That was an interesting approach that George did. Night of the Living Dead, the 1990 remake, was directed by Tom Savini. And Tom Savini is the makeup wizard of all time for horror movies. And this is the same story as the original, but it's been hyped up a lot. And it's good. It's well put together by Tom Savini, even though Tom Savini can't act. Dawn of the Dead. It's a 2004 remake. And the only same thing about it is the mall. Everything else is different. And that makes this movie exceptional. Best part of the movie is the beginning and conclusion. The middle of the movie needs some help, but a fair movie. Another fair movie was the third remake to the George Romero series, Day of the Dead. Had this interesting approach to modernize the story. Should have been cut something else because it really has nothing to do with the original movie. The original Fog by John Carpenter. It may have not been successful like Halloween, but it was well put together with sound effects, music. It even had Jamie Lee Curtis and her mother Janet Leigh. It's a great film. Well put together by Deborah Hill and John Carpenter. Just a scary ghost story in the fog. What else? I don't know if this movie was meant to be scary or funny, because it has a little of both. Well, then again, it was directed by Sam Raimi, who did the Evil Dead series and Spider-Man. It is about this poor girl who gets cursed by a gypsy, and all these demons and zombies start following her, and it's a well-put-together, well-come-back story for Sam Raimi. Ghostbusters. Yes, I know it's a comedy, but it's got some scary ghost stuff that happens in both the movies. The demons and the zombies and the ghosts. Are you the keymaster? Are you the gatekeeper? Classic lines. This is two great movies, especially the first one. The Evil Dead. A bunch of college students go to a cabin out in the middle of the woods. They fool around with the Book of the Dead. And all these demons start coming out and zombies. It doesn't get better than this. There's like no fright break in that movie whatsoever. Every 2 seconds there's something scary that happens. It is a fun horror movie. Very scary. Another scary one here is The Exorcism of Emily Rose. What makes this movie interesting and scary is that you don't know if Emily was crazy or if she really was possessed by the devil. And this movie shows both sides of the story. The Exorcist. One of the scariest movies of all time. A lot of these movies came out in the 70s. A good time for horror to come out. Scared everybody, this movie. Poor little girl's being possessed by the devil. And it's also a story about a priest regaining his faith. A+ movie there. The Grudge. Japanese horror is extremely frightening. And this is no different when you talk about a story like The Grudge. Ghost stories in Japan are very frightening because you can never escape the ghosts. They follow you. You associate with them, they're gonna get you. This would make this movie interesting. Frightening. Speaking of they're gonna get you, Pinhead in Hellraiser is a pop culture phenomenon. Pinhead is a Cenobite, or demon, who comes to get people and bring them to hell. Anyone who fools around with this box, the Pandora box, will come to hell. Both Hellraiser movies are genuinely disturbing. The first one is a little more unique and darker, and the sequel just lacks a few things. But other than that, there's a lot of hooks and razor blades, and it's just a nightmare material, and no one describes hell better than Clive Barker in his 2 stories. House on Haunted Hill is cheesy as hell, but it works. Vincent Price is very good in this movie. Ghost effects are cheesy, but this movie works. You can't make movies like this anymore. Phantasm is a good quality movie that came out in the late 70s. A little boy witnesses strange events in a cemetery, and it turns out to be a zombie movie, but towards the end you get this science fiction story. But it's well put together with the theme music and the lighting, and it's a good movie. Poltergeist is a very scary movie. It's rated PG, but there's something very frightening about what Steven Spielberg and Tobe Hooper do in this film that just make it a very creepy ghost story with a, you know... The second movie, Poltergeist 2, was lacking a few things, but it was kind of like a continuation of the first movie. But the third movie has a very good, different quality than the first 2 movies, with mirror effects and ice, and the girl continues as a role, Heather Rourke, I believe, and she passed away right after this movie, just before the movie was finished. It's quite creepy. Shaun of the Dead, it's a romantic comedy with zombies. It's a fun movie. It's a comedy, but the horror is filmed so well to make it so different from any zombie movie or comedy, and it really works. It's very funny. Silent Hill is a very unique movie. I'm not really big on video games to movies, but this movie works in so many ways. I think the only thing that lacks is the climax. The ending is kind of weak. Other than that, it's well put together with special effects and creatures and Rosemary's Baby. I should have put this movie into the suspense episode, but a good part of this movie is the scene where Mia Farrow has the nightmare where she's being raped by the devil. That's well put together. That's stuff you see today, but back then that was frightening. And the conclusion is awesome as well. Brain Dead, or it's also known in America as Dead Alive, is a wicked funny zombie movie, but then again it does the same thing that Shaun of the Dead did, but then again this movie came out first. Goriest movie of all time. So much blood in this movie. It's awesome. Very funny and very scary at the same time. Zombie was released right after the success of Dawn of the Dead in the United States, and Italy loved zombie movies, so Lucio Fulci, the Italian director, wanted to make the best zombie movie he could, and this is well put together.